Hey friends, this is another Canon M50 video. If you know me or not, you know that I love the Canon M50. I have been using it for years. And to keep it short and sweet, this video is simply to show you how to use your Canon M50 manual settings for slow-mo and cinematic style. Now, we're not going to get too in depth on why we're doing this with settings, why does it have to be this way. This is just to simply boost you into getting started and start creating dope content. One of the most frequent questions that I get all the time is, Lalo, how do I shoot in manual mode? What settings do I need to have it in for slow-mo or cinematic style? It's kind of hard to explain that through text messages or messaging to really talk about it, so it's best if I just show you. So let's get straight into it. So when I use slow motion, I typically use it for weddings or even corporate style videos where I need it to look elegant, very slow pace, kind of just showcase a product, even things like that. I'll leave some examples right here, or you can even check out some of the videos on Better Media Co. All of them have been shot on the Canon M50 with the 50mm lens, so that way you kind of get an idea of how the slow motion look like. So again, just to kind of clarify, I'm not going to be going into depth on why we're doing this with the settings or kind of get too much into details. It's simply to just get you guys going and started. Go out there and start shooting already without having to run into all those problems. I'm just going to help you guys out real quick. So here's my Canon M50, pairing it with the 50mm lens. Everything that I film with is with the Canon M50, and the 50mm lens is beautiful, but that's for another video. So very first thing is you want to make sure you're in manual mode. So you go to this little M icon corner right here, because or else you won't be able to adjust or even manipulate the settings, stuff like that. So once you're on manual mode, you're going to want to go to this little, the Q icon over here. You go to this icon, which is the frames per second. Now, obviously you have 4K capabilities. If you're going to be filming for social media purposes or YouTube or things like that, honestly, you don't need 4K. 1920 times 1080 is perfect. 50 frames per second is perfect for slow-mo. You're gonna go to that one, 1920, 1080 with 50 frames per second. Now you're gonna wanna double that. From 50, you're gonna go all the way to 100, right? Now, you will see some flickering if you're like in a very low light room or where there's like a lot of lamps or headlights, stuff like that. You're gonna wanna just jump over to 125. Not a big deal. Stay 125, 100, depending. If you see the lines in your camera lens, then go to 125. It's simple as that. Now for the f-stop, that all depends on your lens, and it depends how much blurry background you want. The more blurred background you want, then you want to go lower, like 1.4, 2 even. If you want less of a blurred background, then you want to go a little higher to like 11, 16 or whatever, depending on your lens. Sweet spot to keep it at is like 2.8, 2.4. That's what I like to stick around with. Once you have that, you can adjust your ISO. That one depends on how dark it is. It's just natural light coming in. All you got to do is just adjust to the room. If it's super dark, then you want to just increase the ISO. Just keep in mind, the higher you go, the more grainy the video is going to look like, because you can't go too high with the ISO, with the artificial light. So that's where you got to really play around with the f-stop, going a little lower maybe. Yeah, you start playing around with those little settings. But the 1/125, you typically just want to stay at that point. But once you have that setting, once you go to the editing section, it's going to be so much easier to edit slow-mo. You can go to slow motion and it won't be all choppy and glitchy. It'll be smooth and clean looking. And that's pretty much it for the slow motion. Very simple, short and sweet. Now let's go into more of the cinematic, kind of more to the eye, how we see with our eyes. If you're looking for more of like a natural looking video, then this is it right here. So again, we're gonna go back to our frames per second. We're gonna go to 25 now. So it's still 1920 times 1080 with a 25 frames per second though. And so now, again, the rule of thumb is to double it. So you're gonna go to 50. I personally like going to 60 to round up. Don't ask me why, just do it. The same goes for the aperture, the 2-point that we were talking about earlier. That one depends on your lens, depends how much blurred background you want. The same rule applies. ISO, same thing. How much artificial light do you need to let in? And again, you don't wanna go too high, because if you go too high with the ISO, it gets really grainy and it's gonna just be a very ugly looking video. And it's as simple as that. So again, we're not going into details or a lesson on this. However, if you have a question on anything about the settings, feel free to send me a DM or leave a comment below and I would love to answer it. And although it is important to learn about the camera, sometimes you just really want to start shooting with your camera already and not get too frustrated or stressed out. So hopefully this will help you get a little inspired to want to dive deeper into why the camera films a certain way, why does it look this way. Hopefully this video is kind of just a little motivation for you to continue to work on your craft, to seek education and to look for better ways to improve your skills. But my goal today is to simply get you guys started, get you going, start creating content, start getting those gigs, start making your money. If you guys found any kind of value in this video today, please give it a like and subscribe. We are on the road to 200, which we are almost there. Super cool. Thank you guys so much for all the love and subscribing. Please let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I'll be more than happy to do it. Peace.